Welcome to my views and news. Viewers, does Amhara elite, political elite, want to remove Ethiopian PM Abiy? Are they planning something against the government? What do they think of the government? What are their plans? Did they try to remove PM Abiy recently? What were their relations, PM Abiy, Amhara, elite relations, when PM Abiy came to power? And which methods could they use to remove PM Abiy if they want to remove the Prime Minister? Firstly, I personally think that Amhara elite, excluding Prosperity Party, top leaders of Prosperity Party, excluding them, there is consensus in Amhara region that PM Abiy should be removed. For two reasons, they believe that PM Abiy's removal is necessary. Firstly, PM Abiy's government has struck a deal with TPLF. Deal was opposed by groups in the Amhara region. And now Amhara elite fears that Volkayat and Raya could be handed over to TPLF. TPLF has survived. TPLF could not be completely eliminated. This is not what was being hoped. Amhara elite and maybe PM Abiy's government, they were hoping complete dismantling of TPLF, which has not happened. That is why PM Abiy's government struck a deal, Pretoria Agreement, not well received in the Amhara region, especially if PM Abiy's government decided to hand over Volkayat and Raya to TPLF. This anti-PM Abiy sentiment will intensify in the region. Secondly, we know that last year PM Abiy's government started a crackdown on informal militias in the Amhara region, especially Fano militia. Their factions were dismantled, disarmed, commanders arrested, some on the run, hundreds are in prisons. Only one faction allowed to operate, which is under the control of federal forces, regional forces too. I think that was the start of anti-PM Abiy sentiment in Amhara region. So there is consensus, no doubt about that, in Amhara region that PM Abiy should be removed. One reason is growing Abiy-TPLF ties. Other reason is the belief held by Amhara elite that PM Abiy wants to bring Oromos to power. He wants Oromos to be in key positions. He wants to impose Oromo rule. He's working for Oromo's interests. Relationship between PM Abiy and Amhara elite has changed. When PM Abiy came to office, he had backing from the Amhara region, because back then a common enemy for Oromo and Amhara elite was TPLF. Now when TPLF is no more a major force in Ethiopia, they believe that PM Abiy is now working to impose Oromo rule. And both are fighting, Oromo, Amhara PPs, over different issues, border issues, Valaga, Addis Ababa, historical celebrations, etc. So they have decided that PM Abiy should be removed. Can they do it? Did they try to do it? In the recent Orthodox Church conflict, we saw an attempt to weaken, to remove the government. An informal organization was being established in Addis Ababa. Church was being used as a shield for this movement. Government realized it on time, not in time. Government realized that the movement was turning into an anti-government movement. The protest announced by the church was turning into a threat to the government. That is why government decided to step back, make compromise, give concessions and talk to the church. And definitely behind that Orthodox Church protest was mainly Amhara elite, Amhara region. The first attempt was handled by PM Abiy's government. PM Abiy's government stepped back. It made compromise. And church leaders realized as well that they were being used as a tool. If you remember, Abune Abraham, Abune Petros, one of them in his interview said that church would never be part of any effort to topple the government. Church believed there were some elements trying to use church as a tool to topple the government. So first attempt through the church did not succeed because government stepped back in the confrontation with the church. Secondly, we are seeing attempts to put economic pressure upon the government. Amhara businessmen, Amhara diaspora are trying to stop all funding for Ethiopia, for Ethiopian government. They are having meetings with foreign donors, with foreign countries, financial institutions. They want to ensure that PM Abiy's government is crippled. And ultimately, PM Abiy lands himself in a position in which he cannot rule the country. Can these efforts succeed? And how united is the Amhara region? Firstly, there will always be a group in the Amhara region which will support the ruling party in Ethiopia. Like we saw that EPRDF had an Amhara party as well. Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister of Ethiopia, Demeke Mekonnen, might be sitting with Tigrayans after a few years. If Tigrayans came to power in Addis Ababa, if Somalis came to power in Addis Ababa, you could see them sitting with them. There is one section of Amhara political elite which has always been part of power circles. But there are other factions which are trying to organize themselves. Journalists, activists, opposition party members, disgruntled PP party members, businessmen, diaspora, all are of this opinion that PM Abiy should be removed. Problem is that they're finding it difficult to create a unity, to find a leader behind, to find a leader who can lead them. Their main problem is that they cannot create unity in the Amhara region. They are working separately. Government is very watchful. Government knows. PM Abiy's government knows that whenever in coming months there came opposition, an attempt to topple the government, it would be from Amhara region. A few months ago, government was watchful about Tigrayans. That is why they were arrested, put in prisons across Ethiopia. Even those who were not combatants, they were arrested as well. Because why? Why? Because it was alleged, it was feared that they could be part of attempts to topple the government. Now, PM Abiy's government is monitoring Amhara activists, Amhara journalists, Amhara Fano fighters, and other Amhara businessmen, etc. because they could now be planning to topple the government. And as I said earlier, government is watchful, government knows, and that is why we keep on seeing operations. We keep on seeing arrests, journalists arrested, activists arrested, foreign fighters arrested, parties not allowed to work freely, Enough party, Balderas not allowed to hold general assembly in Addis Ababa. Why? Because all these groups and individuals are hardliners. They want to remove PM Abiy's government. It's very clear. Government knows. So it's difficult to say what is going to happen. But I personally believe that continuation of conflict of any type between the government and other factions, other countries, suits Amhara elite which want to remove PM Abiy. So if Pretoria deal fails, if TPLF PM Abiy relations deteriorate, obviously it would be a good news for ruling elite of the Amhara region. Not ruling elite, the elite which wants to remove PM Abiy. If Ethiopia-Eritrea war broke out, it would again be something which would be welcomed by these dissidents. And a few days ago, one of their activists claimed that Ethiopia-Eritrea relations were deteriorating. So continuation of conflict suits them because they want to weaken the government. But they are unable to create unity, unable to find a common leader. That is why we are seeing isolated attempts by diaspora, attempts by foreign fighters, attempts by PP party members, attempts by some opposition party members. No joint, well-coordinated effort. We have seen in recent days. Only one effort, joint effort, that was through the church, which failed. So that is why coming days are crucial, viewers. Coming, not days, I would say coming months are crucial.